on the chop, homies. Welcome back. Sorry it's been so long since you guys have heard from me. I've been busy. Bet that chick would like to have this bike instead of the one she's riding. Ho, ho, ho. What about that Deltron 4-cam, homies? I don't even know where to start. You guys haven't heard from me forever. And let's see, I'm going to close this. Maybe you guys can hear me a little better. This bike's kind of loud. But I've been super busy. This last week was the 1-year anniversary of my dad's wife's, Pam's, passing. He flew out here and we had some family activities for the entire week. I took a week off of work. It was really great, man. It was really, really great. But I'm back on the chop, and I'm going to give you guys an update here in just a minute. I'm still short shifting this baby. But she pulls like a mule, man. It's now 126 cubic inch V-twin, Deltron cases, Jim's flywheels, Manley rods, Patrick Racing cylinders, JP custom pistons, had to be custom made for me, zipper heads, twin McCuney 45s, and I'm not even getting on it, guys. It just wants to go. I love dirt bikes, I love adventure bikes, I love all bikes, but if there's one bike that is my favorite bike, it's this one. Those of you guys who've been around for a while, you guys all know why. A lot of sentimental value, a lot of sentimental stuff in this bike, which includes the motor that's between my legs right now. We've got a spot down here. Actually, I'm just going to come right over here, give you guys kind of a quick look around. Okay, let me step off for a minute. So it's not all put together yet. This is a custom bike I built in my garage. Took me 5 years of Father's Day, birthdays, and Christmas gifts from my family. You guys might remember the story. I was looking at the rolling chassis on eBay, and this is years ago, and sent the link to my dad. Said, "Hey Dad, what do you think of this? I really like the wheels, and I like the general look of the frame." And so I said, "Hey Dad, what do you think of this?" And he says, "Oh man, I really like it." And so I started bidding on it, and then the price got higher and higher and higher, and eventually I just kind of had to say, you know, I can't do this, so I quit. 2 weeks later, my dad called me and said, "Hey, what happened to that bike you were bidding on?" I says, "Oh man, it got too expensive," and so I decided to stop bidding. And long story made short, my dad says, "Well, happy birthday, son." And he bought the rolling chassis for me for my birthday. The little bugger was bidding against me. And he kept on until finally, I'll make sure, yeah, we're still recording. He kept bidding until he won it, so had it shipped to my house, and that's where it started. And this motor, I've got some things I'm still working out, but this motor my dad built about 20-something years ago for his first chop. It's a Delcron case. All those parts I told you about previously. It's got custom Andrews cams, Jim's rockers, and oh man, he's had 2 different guys build this motor, and in both cases they fouled stuff up. I had a problem where the cams were too tight. They didn't clearance the cams properly, and it wore through a bushing or a shim, or basically a washer on the end of the cam. A little piece slipped off, went down here into the oil pump, snapped the shaft, or sheared the shaft off of the pump gear, and starved the engine of oil, burned it up. And so we decided we're going to just start from ground zero, pull the motor out. My dad had a friend in Tennessee that he said, you know, I really want you to send it back here, and we'll have this friend of mine build it. I wanted to do it myself, but he was adamant about it, and so I agreed, and we shipped it off, and it took him quite a while, about a year. There's a lot of custom parts in there, and you have to search parts and things to find them, but got it back about 2 weeks ago. We had a big family ride planned for not this last Thursday, but the Thursday before that, and man, I had leaks and things that still needed to, and that's normal, you know, you get them back, sometimes you have to fix little things here and there, and I just didn't feel comfortable taking it. So we went on our family trip, did some family history stuff, finding out where some of our ancestors are from, and really cool stuff that way, and come back and got back to work on it. I've got most of it done. I've got one little leak between the rocker box and the head I've got to fix. It's not bad, but it's there, and so I need to fix that. But other than that, it runs good. I finally got the ignition pretty well sorted out, and there she is. Some of you guys have been around a while know that back in the day I used to do what's called a Bad Joke Monday, and after all the problems we have had with this bike, and I'm going to do another video later on all the issues that we had. We couldn't get this thing to run when we got it back. I mean, we fought and fought and fought, new ignition, new this, new that. Finally figured out that the crank gear was one tooth off from where it lines up on the crank, and the 4-cams, the Sportster style 4-cams, have to all these dots line up. They were all lined up, but the crank gear was one spline off, and as a result we couldn't start it. So we fixed that, and then boom, started right up. But as a result, this bike's name is now Bad Joke Monday. So for those of you who've been around, you guys remember we used to tell a joke every now and then, post it up on Monday morning for a Bad Joke Monday. And so since she's back running, she's not 100% yet. I've got still work to do, but she's definitely rideable, she's definitely safe, and she's tons of fun. So I want to give you guys a Bad Joke Monday, and this is a short one, but it's a good one. So I think what I'll do is I'll fire this girl up. Actually, you know what? Let's see if we can just do this and fire up. That's what you kind of hear what she sounds like. Now 4-cams are different. They're not like a, check out my LEDs. Isn't that cool? That'll catch people's attention. 4-cams are different than twin cams and Evo motors. They sound different. They have more of a potato, 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 potato kind of sound to them. Some people like that, some people hate it. My dad's bagger is a twin cam. Sounds totally different. But let's get a little roll on here. Get out onto the street and hear this bad boy eat. Keep in mind, I'm not getting on it. I'm just kind of rolling into it a little bit. I'm not on it at all. That's not, you know, that's not more than about maybe 3/8 throttle. And Unfortunately, I've got a real small tank. I've got another one. It's a 3.4 gallon tank that we're going to fit up. It's going to require me to do a bunch of framework and everything to fit it up right and get it painted. Might wait till winter, I don't know. But I got a joke for you today, okay? It's been a while since you guys have heard a bad joke. So let's tell a bad joke, okay? Okay. So there's this cowboy. And this cowboy is riding into a strange town. He's riding in on his black, beautiful steed. Big thoroughbred. He rides into the town, ties his horse up to the hitching post, and goes into the bar for a drink. Now what he didn't know is that the locals here had a tendency to tease and bug, strangers that were in town. So he sits down and has a drink from the bartender and all's good. And then he gets up and he goes out to get on his horse and ride out of town. The horse is missing. So this cowboy, he walks back into town, walks back into the bar and says, he takes his pistol out of his holster and swings it around up in the air, throws it up in the air, fires a shot off into the ceiling, never even looks at his gun. It says, "Which one of you took my horse?" It was silent. Nobody looked up. He had a very threatening, demanding voice. Nobody looked up. Everybody looked around. Eyes here, eyes there, but nobody looked at him. So he says, "All right, I'm going to sit down and have another beer." And when I'm done with that beer, my horse better be back tied up to that post. And if it's not, I'm going to have to do what I done in Texas, and I don't want to do what I done in Texas. So he sat down, he had his beer. A lot of rustling going on, quiet, nobody looking at him. Sure enough, he goes out there and his horse is tied back up to the post there. So he saddles up, starts to ride out of town. Well, the bartender, he comes shuffling out of the bar and says, "Hey, partner, what happened in Texas?" And the cowboy looks back and said, "I had to walk home." There's your Bad Joke Monday, homies. Hey, it's good to be back on the camera again. It's good to be back on the chop. Hope y'all have a good day and a good week this week. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next Monday. Duff after gone.